Killswitch Conspiracy Fiction Thriller Kevin Stockdill Copyright Symbol 2025 The Great Reset. Forward, we have all entertained the thought of a corrupt shadow government manipulating us and stirring divisions to keep their secret agendas hidden. But what if their master plan got leaked? What would they stoop to if it was all exposed? How could they keep it all from imploding and spiraling out of control? How would they reset the illusion of freedom and democracy? Killswitch Conspiracy unwraps it all and more in a nail-biting, gritty thriller designed to keep you on the edge of your seat. Our protagonist is the classic reluctant hero who accidentally stumbles across a diabolical plan that will send an already fractured nation into a fight for its mere survival, all orchestrated by elite political factions drunk on power and greed. This dark, cautionary tale is a betrayal beyond imagination, with a secret shadow government pulling all the strings. If exposed, the usual playbook of deflect, deny and distract isn't going to cut it anymore. A manufactured crisis won't save them either. This time it will have to be real. Hold on to your seat and pray this isn't real. You won't be able to put it down, so settle in and enjoy. Contents: Chapter 1, Walking Papers, Chapter 2, The Exodus, Chapter 3, Public Enemy No. 1, Chapter 4, Cross Country, Chapter 5, Safe House, Chapter 6, Horizons Watch, Chapter 7, Horizons Alert, Chapter 8, Plot Exposed, Chapter 9, Horizons Strike, Chapter 10, Schrodinger's Cat. Chapter 1, Walking Papers. It's late, past 9 p.m. in a sterile, sparsely lit NSA office in Fort Meade, Maryland. Rows of cubicles sit empty. Outside, rain streaks the windows. Carter, a 34-year-old signals intelligence analyst, GS-11, is sitting opposite Andrews, his direct report, in a dreary back corner office. Carter is mid-reprimand as Andrews rips into him for his reckless behavior during a recent ethics review. Carter had flagged unauthorized domestic sweeps. Patterns nobody else wanted to point out and pushed hard against it. Andrews leans forward. Carter, you've jeopardized operations. There are consequences for sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. He knows what's coming. He has seen colleagues canned for a lot less. You've left me no choice. Andrews is interrupted mid-sentence. The desk phone rings. He picks up the receiver, his face scowls. Yeah, okay, that's a problem. I'll be right there. He hangs up, barely glancing at Carter. Sorry Carter, I'm going to have to cut to the chase. I've got a fire to go put out. He reaches into the center desk drawer, pulls out an envelope, and slides it across the desk. Here are your walking papers. Clear your desk tonight. Security will escort you out. Carter, now sitting alone in the office, grows angry, wishing he had kept his mouth shut in the ethics review board meeting. He becomes curious about that call that interrupted his chewing. He moves around to the other side of the desk. He moves the mouse, waking the screen. Andrews didn't log out. He sees a minimized folder titled, Project Killswitch, Phase 2 Horizons. He sits down into the chair and maximizes it. The document is in a restricted, dark pool, archive for high-level comms. This is way above his pay grade, he says to himself as he begins reading. Holy crap, he says as he continues doom-scrolling the document. As he quickly scans, he sees references to New World Order. A very familiar term that's been the subject of many a conspiracy theory. Carter keeps drilling down into the Killswitch Protocol. Suddenly his face goes white. "Oh, hell no," he says. It's a contingency plan of the main mission should it be compromised, or is at risk of exposure. It's designed as the ultimate pivot to protect their decades-old endgame plan. A plan so dark and evil, running so deep, that it even flies under the radar of the executive branch. Chills run down his spine, his pupils dilate as his eyes fixate on the term, EMP, with references to population reduction projections, 12-month COG, contingency of government. The following line is protocol to initiate media blackout, deploy assets for containment, eliminate liabilities. The bottom of the document ends with post-event governance restructuring, stating that the DNI concurs and blessed the plan. "Oh shit," Carter says under his breath. His hands shaking, he pulls a USB from his pocket, plugs it in, and starts downloading. The progress bar crawls. He keeps glancing at the door, expecting Andrews to barge in at any moment. The escape, the download finishes, Carter yanks the USB and pockets it as he peers out into the hall. The coast is clear. He scuttles to the elevator, his heart pounding in his chest. He jabs the elevator button repeatedly, as if that will make it come faster. Finally, it dings. He flinches as the door opens, half expecting goons, but it's empty. He rides the elevator down to the lobby, and somehow avoids the night guard's glance. He bolts out the double glass doors into the rainy night. He jumps into his car, fumbling with his car keys. He starts it up and peels out of the parking lot, talking to himself frantically. "Damn it, I'm so screwed, this is going to get me killed." The breach. Roughly 45 minutes later, Andrews returns to his office, still pondering the diverted disaster he just managed to avoid. He plops down exhausted. "Time to log off and call it a day," he says. He glances down at the screen, his eyes narrow. He notices something in the upper left corner of the screen. A small notification, "Download complete." "Crap, what the hell," he hisses as he pulls up the download log. His face scrawls as he pieces it all together. "Carter, you're a dead man," he says, picking up the phone. Andrews hits a speed dial number, the phone rings. "Come on, answer," he says in a very agitated voice. "Sloan, this is Andrews, we've got a problem." Carter has accessed the chain, Killswitch, Horizons, the works. He downloaded it all and bolted. Sloan acknowledges him in disbelief, asking how the hell it happened. "We don't have time for finger pointing. I need you on this right away. Deploy the Hydra." The line goes silent a brief moment. Sloan replies in a cold steel voice, "Understood, I'm on it." Andrews hangs up the phone, knowing the wheels are already turning to crush Carter. Chapter 2, The Exodus. It's a cold, rainy early spring morning, just past midnight. Carter has been sitting in a dark back parking lot contemplating his next move. His mind is racing. He knows he can't go home, that will be the first place they hit. The hunt is on, and he knows it. He doesn't know who he can trust. He needs to get out of DC pronto, but go where? Thankfully he is single without kids, having gone through a messy divorce the year prior. He knows anyone close to him is now a target too. He concocts a plan to head south on Route 32 and charge a hotel room on his credit card. He will leave his phone there, which is traceable as a decoy. That will draw them there. He will need to rely on cash, so he stops at an ATM and pulls out the maximum withdrawal amount. He also needs to ditch his car, they will be looking for it. He needs to think fast on his feet and steal a vehicle that won't be reported as stolen for as long as possible. Carter is familiar with the area, and recalls a storage place nearby. It should be full of summer toys left dormant in early spring. That should buy him some time. Carter pulls up behind the storage lot next to a chain-link fence. He leaves the keys in the ignition hoping some punk will steal it. That would make a great diversion, leading them temporarily on a wild goose chase. Carter climbs the fence. Looks like it's going to have to be an RV, he says as he scans the lot. Nothing but RVs and boats here in storage. But what about the gate? It's chained and locked. I don't want to ram it, that would alert the owner of a break-in. Carter walks over to the gate. A combination padlock. He pulls down on the lock and it pops open. What luck, whoever locked it didn't spin the dial. Carter gets busy checking doors on the RVs. He finds one with the side door unlocked. Damn, I'm batting 1,000, he says as he makes his way up to the driver's seat. Carter pulls out a pocket knife and lays awkwardly under the dash and begins to hot wire it. The wires spark, and the engine sluggishly starts. The RV has half a tank of fuel, that will get him far out of the area. This storage lot couldn't be in a better place. It's on a quiet back street, away from busy traffic. Carter drives the RV off the lot, stopping long enough to chain and lock the gate behind him to cover his tracks. Carter drives off into the pre-dawn morning. They'll expect me to double back north. West it is, he mumbles as he turns and starts heading west, his eyes glued to the rearview mirror. He's a ghost, for now. Where the hell am I going? Carter says as the windshield wipers streak and skip across the glass. He's been racking his brain on who he can trust, and how to expose the cabal's plans. The clock is ticking, like a timer on a bomb, literally. If I'm going to stay alive and stop this, I need an ally, someone they won't be looking for. Someone with connections and know-how. Chuck Ryder comes to mind. He's an old NSA colleague who retired last year. He moved totally off-grid and turned naturalist/survivalist. Carter once visited his ranch in West Virginia. Chuck knows the NSA's dirty laundry. Carter trusts him because he walked, rather than go against his principles. Plus, he's got no ties to the cabal. Meanwhile the Hydra has its far-reaching tentacles out. It's a secret group formed to eliminate liabilities, with assets from NSA, CIA, DIA, and DHS. Killers with no names and no souls. They get a ping on Carter's credit card, a hotel charge, 20 miles south. He's running, Sloan growls at the tech. Track the phone. The tech frowns, signal static sir, hotel room, no movement. Sloan's eyes widen, it's a decoy, find the car. The Hydra's wheels are turning but Carter's a step ahead for now. Carter is an hour west on I-70 making his way toward West Virginia. He is hoping that Chuck will know what steps to take next. Chapter 3, Public Enemy Number 1. As the sun comes up the rain has stopped. If it were any other day Carter would be looking forward to it. Carter is on a long dirt road leading to Chuck's ranch. He wonders if Chuck still keeps that shotgun by the front door. This will be a good place to hold out a short while and regroup. The ranch has no utilities of any kind, far removed from the nearest town. It almost feels like going back in time. Chuck still has everything he needs out here: solar power, well water, root cellar, and inside a potbelly stove for heat and cooking. As Carter pulls up, Chuck walks out the front door, yep, shotgun in tow. He greets his old friend and gives him an abbreviated version of his predicament. Chuck invites Carter inside. They sit down at the kitchen table. Carter starts detailing what he uncovered, including the failsafe plan regarding the EMP. He explains how the plan is to emerge 12 months later, like moles from their subterranean bunkers in a dystopian power grab of the population that's still alive. Chuck responds, now it all makes sense. So that's why Congress has never passed that bill to harden the power grid. It has to remain vulnerable for Phase 2 of their plan to work. They won't pull the trigger yet, not unless the threat becomes imminent. No, first they will throw every resource at neutralizing the threat. That's you, Carter. The two discuss how to navigate the minefield of potential fake allies and very real enemies. They also brainstorm tactics on how Carter can fly low and stay under the Cabal's radar. Chuck is now officially public enemy number 1, he's gone straight to the top of the list. Chuck mentions, "Hey, I noticed a gas generator on the back of that RV, I'll give you $700 for it, that will give you some more cash, you're going to need it." "Oh, I know of an abandoned property with a barn 5 or 6 miles down the road, it would be a great spot to ditch the RV." "Let's do it," Carter replies. They go outside and Carter yanks the generator off the back of the RV and sets it down by the side of the house. Carter follows Chuck in the RV out to the ditch site. Upon arrival, Carter pulls it inside the barn, closing the doors as he walks back toward Chuck's pickup truck. The two ride back to the house, a dust cloud behind them. The hunt continues. The Hydra team gets a hit on Carter's car in South Carolina. "Damn, he went south after all. Tricky little bastard," mutters one of the team's henchmen. Further digging concludes it's another wild goose chase and that the car was stolen. The perp is sitting in jail for grand theft auto, so Sloan directs a man to go down and interrogate the thug and report back. Carter managed to send them on a ruse once again. From what they have learned, Carter probably fled in an RV from the storage lot's location. "I want eyes on every traffic cam from DC to the Mississippi," Sloan growls. Back at the ranch, Chuck pulls out his laptop and powers it up. He motions to Carter, "Hand me that USB. I need to see this with my own eyes." "My God," is his only comment upon scrolling down through what sounds too unbelievable to be true. It dawns upon him that at some point soon eyes will be on him, it's just a matter of time. Chuck makes a copy of the USB saying, "We need to flood the zone with these, Carter, it's the only leverage you have to stay alive." Chuck clears his throat, "Say, I have a niece, Amy, in Boise. She's the state AG. She has contacts and is tight with Daniels, the US AG. We need to get to the federal level, she can get the DOJ involved." Chuck grabs a framed photo off the mantle of Amy and shows it to Carter. He concludes, "We could try leaking it to the media, but they have lost all credibility and they'll claim fake news and conspiracy theories." Chuck continues, "I'll drive you to the bus station in the morning." Chuck's stomach growls, "I'm getting hungry, how about you, Carter?" "Famished," Carter replies. Chuck fixes them a meal of canned venison and farm-fresh veggies from his root cellar. After they finish eating, Chuck grabs a pot holder and picks up a pot of coffee off the potbelly stove, and pours them each a cup. They continue to discuss strategies as the sun goes down. Chuck yawns and says, "Well, you'd better get some shut-eye, Carter." Smoked cured ham and fresh hen eggs for breakfast in the morning. Chuck smiles as he shows Carter to the guest room for the night. The next morning Chuck drives Carter down to the bus station. Carter buys a ticket using cash. The bus heads out from the Morgantown station in 30 minutes. Carter thanks Chuck for his help, knowing he will probably never see him alive again. Chuck wishes him good luck and departs to fortify his place and set booby traps for what is surely coming his way. 40 minutes later Carter boards the bus and it pulls out from the station. It's going to be a long couple of days on the open road. Carter will have 1 to 2 hour layovers in Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Denver, arriving in Boise in approximately 48 to 50 hours. Carter figures by the time he gets there he will only be 24 to 36 hours ahead of the posse. Chapter 4, Cross Country. It's 10:30 a.m. local time as Carter's bus pulls into the Boise station. Chuck gave him Amy's home address, but Carter figures catching her at the Capitol building would be quicker since her place is a good 45 minutes from downtown. It's morning and she would be at her office, not at home. The Capitol is too far to hoof it. He decides to take a public transit downtown. It's close, cheap, and untraceable. It will drop him only a few blocks from the Capitol. As the bus reaches his stop, Carter exits and starts walking, his hood up and scanning for cameras, paranoid of his own shadow. Carter is in need of a shower and a shave, not a great look to approach a stranger. He will wait outside the building for her rather than risk going inside. It's better to avoid security and cameras. 11:05 a.m., Carter reaches the Capitol. It's a crisp spring day, but the sun is shining. Carter hopes Amy will leave for lunch, 12 to 1 p.m., or worst-case scenario end of day, 5 to 6 p.m. He waits. Carter picks a bench across Jefferson Street near 8th, about 100 yards from the main entrance. The location has partial tree cover and gives him a direct view of the Capitol steps. 12:45 p.m. He spots her. She's heading toward a black sedan. Carter crosses the street in a brisk walk. He is 20 feet behind her as she reaches the car. No time for subtlety. "Amy," he shouts in a loud voice. She turns her head without breaking her stride. "Chuck Ryder sent me. Your uncle's life is in danger. Is there somewhere we can talk?" Amy stops dead in her tracks, turns and asks, "How do you know my uncle?" Carter replies, "I used to work with him at NSA before he retired." Amy has a concerned and perplexed look on her face and seems confused. Yeah, let me clear my schedule," she tells him, grabbing her phone from her purse. She makes arrangements for the rest of the afternoon off. "We can go to my place, you can fill me in on the way," she says, unlocking the car using a remote key fob, chirping sound. "Get in," she tells Carter as she opens the driver's door. When they arrive at Amy's, she unlocks the door and invites Carter in. Amy plops down on the sofa and hangs her head down in her hands. Carter sits down beside her. Nervously, Carter tells her, Chuck may already be dead. Amy starts to cry. "I probably have 24 hours before they find me," he says, handing her the USB. Carter adds, "You need to get a copy of this to the U.S. Attorney General ASAP." We need all the help we can get, anyone with enough clout and authority who can be trusted. Into thin air, back in D.C., Sloan reaches out to Andrews by phone to give him a disappointing status update. Andrews barks at Sloan, "No hits on traffic cams? Damn it, Carter didn't just vanish. He's going to have to reach out to somebody. Check NSA for everyone he has interacted with." Sloan retorts, "Already in progress as we speak." Andrews hangs up on him. Sloan orders the team to dig deeper into Carter's NSA file. Co-workers, contacts, anyone he might run to. Carter is making them look like fools, and now they are really getting pissed. Back in Boise, Amy wipes the tears from her face, stands up and walks over to her computer in an adjoining room. She opens a drawer and pulls out 2 USBs. She will make copies and FedEx one with a cover letter to Daniels, the other to a contact at the Boise Weekly. She will include instructions to go full tilt with print and mass media dumps on Monday. Unfortunately, Amy can't risk giving Daniels or her media contact a heads up by phone. They can't afford to leave a digital trail. That would be a sloppy mistake that could implicate her. "You can stay here on the couch for tonight. I need to find a place to stash you for safekeeping tomorrow." Amy mumbles as she copies the USB contents for evidence preservation. Amy writes a quick note on her official AG letterhead to accompany the USB to Daniels. "I should go and FedEx these right now," she says. "I won't be long. I'll pick you up some disposable razors on the way back." Carter feels the stubble on his face and thanks her. Carter hits the shower, the hot water pounding down on him feels good. He needed this after days on the run. He dries off and starts getting dressed. He sniffs his shirt and makes a disgusted facial expression. Carter heads into the kitchen and opens the fridge. He pulls out a box of leftover Chinese food. He searches the drawers for a fork, finding one. He sits down on the sofa and begins scarfing it down. Amy returns, tossing Carter a package of razors. "Say, would it be possible for you to wash these filthy clothes?" Carter asks. Amy glares at him, replying, "Sure." Amy walks into the bedroom. She returns, throwing him her bathrobe. "Pink," Carter smirks. Amy comes back saying, "You'll survive for an hour. Leave your dirty clothes on the vanity. I am going to send you to a safe house tomorrow. We use it for witness protection. I'll talk to Jimmy when I get to the office in the morning and have him take you there." Chapter 5, Safe House. It's Friday morning. It has been 4 days since Carter sat across the desk from Andrews at NSA. It seems much longer. Carter somehow managed to beat the odds, evading the cabal. He could sure use another diversion to increase the distance between hunter and hunted. It's mid-morning, Amy has left for the capital and Carter is on his second cup of coffee. Carter is anxiously awaiting Jimmy, a state aide, to arrive and take him to the safe house. Carter is getting nervous, feeling like a sitting duck. Unbeknownst to him, the Hydra still hasn't made the Boise connection. He wonders if Chuck is still alive. The Hydra is still meticulously sifting through all of Carter's contacts at NSA. Chuck Ryder has made the top of the short list. His property in West Virginia is currently under surveillance. A team is scheduled to strike later tonight, still 24 to 36 hours behind Carter. Back at Amy's, the doorbell rings, ding dong. Carter cautiously cracks the door open, praying that it's Jimmy and not goons. Carter? It's Jimmy, Amy sent me. Carter lets out a sigh of relief and fully opens the door. Let's go, says Jimmy. Carter exits, shutting the door behind him. The two head to the curb where Jimmy is parked. For the record, Jimmy is off the clock and driving his own personal vehicle, a Toyota Tundra, to protect him from implication and possible retaliation from the cabal. They pull away from the curb and start heading north. Carter asks, "So, where are we headed?" "McCall," Jimmy responds. "It's a state-owned cabin 100 miles north from here. I brought you a coat. It's still chilly there, 6 to 10 inches of snow in town and 30 to 50 inches at the cabin's elevation. It's a 2-hour drive to McCall, only a few tourists this time of year, mostly skiers and locals. The locals stick to themselves and mind their own business. Strike team readies. A team has been assembled of 3 operatives, a CIA lead, a DIA sniper and a DHS contractor. Chuck being ex-NSA, they expect resistance and will sweep for booby traps. Chuck has indeed prepped for their arrival, rigging shotgun tripwires on the doors, a propane canister in the kitchen, and nail boards on the porch. Crude but effective. Chuck knows they are aware that he lives off-grid. He has been running the generator at night to give the illusion it's his main source of power. Of course, that is not the case since he relies on solar panels with battery banks. Chuck expects they will strike at night. Knowing their tactics, they will cut the power before they make entry, but when they do, they are in for a surprise. Chuck has jerry-rigged the generator to explode if it is switched off. USAG alerted. It's currently noon local time at the U.S. Attorney General's office in D.C., commonly referred to as the main DOJ building. The building is located between the White House and the Capitol across from the National Mall. The building is guarded by DOJ security, metal detectors, ID checks, and casual walk-ins are not allowed. Amy's FedEx envelope marked "Urgent" hits the DOJ mailroom, ground floor, East Wing, and is screened for threats, anthrax, bombs. It clears screening and an aide flags it. The package is about to be expedited to Daniels' office. Daniels oversees the DOJ, FBI, DEA, and the U.S. Marshals. Daniels is at his mahogany desk when the envelope is delivered. He opens it and reads the cover letter from Amy. He plugs the USB into a secure laptop and opens the file named Killswitch. Suddenly his focus shifts from the tourists on the mall to a national nightmare. The cabin, Jimmy and Carter arrive in McCall. Jimmy stops and chains up before heading into the heavy snowpack area. As they near the cabin, they reach a narrow gravel road off Lick Creek. The cabin is hidden by dense Douglas firs, no neighbors within earshot, the nearest cabin being a mile to the west. Amy can monitor Carter here and feed him updates from the USAG, or warn him if the location becomes compromised. She has pull with the state police and trusted aides to pass information securely. The strike team arrives under the cover of night. The DIA sniper's scope picks up a heat signature, confirms Chuck is inside. They hear the generator running and assume his solar batteries are low. We hit the generator and breach both doors simultaneously. "Wait for my signal," announces the CIA leader. Wearing night vision and heavily armed with silenced weapons, the team approaches. CIA lead Williams probes the front entry. He steps on a nail, narrowly avoiding penetration. Spotting the trip wire, he disarms it. He alerts DHS, Wagner at the back door, tripwire front door, be careful. Wagner confirms, affirmative, back door hot, disarming now. DIA, Vernon relays, at generator, waiting for the go. Williams gives the signal, go, go, go. Front and back doors are rammed, generator cut, it explodes blowing Vernon to the ground. Freeze, drop the shotgun, yells Williams at Ryder. Vernon, what's your status? Vernon replies, wounded but can walk out. The team interrogates Ryder, roughing him up. Where's he headed, Ryder? They turn the ranch upside down. They disable the propane tank in the kitchen and find the USB in a can of coffee. Don't want to talk, fine, have it your way, Williams says as he puts a silenced round in his head execution style. They douse the place with kerosene and torch the place. Williams gets on the radio, checks surrounding areas. Canvass the stations in Charleston and Morgantown, Williams barks. A short while later Williams gets Sloan on the radio, Ryder's down, RV secured, USB recovered. Carter is on the move, bus likely. Copy that, I just got confirmation Ryder's got a relative in Idaho, an AG, I'm expanding a cell out west, Sloan out. With the connection to Boise now made, Carter's lead narrows significantly, 12 to 18 hours. Chapter 6, Horizons Watch, the hunt intensifies, Sloan digs into Amy's AG assets. He assumes Carter has probably already been stashed in a safe house. Sloan has Hydra cells dispatched and en route to Idaho. He sent 2 Hydra cell teams. One to surveil the AG, and the other to narrow down the known list of protective custody stashes. The Hydra is closing in fast on Carter. The 2 cell teams arrived this morning. Cell Team 1 landed in Spokane, Washington, a 30-minute drive from Coeur d'Alene. Cell Team 2 landed in Boise. Amy should soon be under heavy surveillance by Team 2. Meanwhile, Team 1 is en route to Coeur d'Alene and will check the safe house location there. If empty, they will head south to check the next safe house on the list in McCall. Carter's lead shortens to 6 to 8 hours. Sloan radios Team 2 as it nears Amy's residence, eyes only, she might lead us to Carter. We need that other USB. Amy's AG status keeps her untouchable for now. The Hydra is at Level 1 of the Horizons Protocol, watch level. McCall cabin, Carter wakes to fresh snow. The cabin is cold. Carter puts another log into the wood stove. He is becoming restless and uneasy. Carter hears vehicles approaching, his heart skips a beat. It's only Jimmy. A Jeep pulls up behind Jimmy's Tundra, driven by an aide. The Jeep will be left behind in case Carter needs to make a hasty retreat. Jimmy gives him a key and directions to a second location up north. Back at Amy's, 11:30 a.m., Amy notices a black sedan and an SUV with darkly tinted windows parked below the corner of her block. They are here, that means Uncle Chuck is surely dead, she sighs. An NSA tech has tapped Amy's landline and they will tail her if she moves. Phone records show no unusual calls. Nothing so far from wiretaps. Situation static, no movement. Amy texts Carter, Boise's hot, north now. At the cabin, Carter gets Amy's text to evacuate. He gathers some supplies, puts on his coat and heads out. Carter is on his way to another safe house in Coeur d'Alene, approximately 389 miles, 5, 5 hours of drive time. A little over 4 hours later, Team 1 arrives at the McCall cabin. They find it empty but find signs of very recent activity, perhaps a few hours old: fresh tire tracks, warm wood stove, dirty dishes. They radio Team 2 that they will circle back to recheck the first safe house again. Carter's life expectancy, 4 to 6 hours. Back in D.C., 6 p.m. Eastern, Saturday evening, Daniels holds an emergency briefing. Present are a small loyal circle, FBI Director, DOJ Counsel, and the DNI. Daniels is cautious. The cabal runs deep, the Hydra is a real danger. Daniels orders a quiet FBI tap on Sloan and sends an encrypted memo to POTUS: imminent threat, EMP plot, stand by. The president is a clueless figurehead, unaware of all that flies under his radar. In transit, 4 p.m. Pacific, Carter is nearing his destination. As he approaches the little town of Plummer, the Jeep's engine sputters, then dies. He coasts over to the shoulder of the road and stops. "Piece of crap," Carter says, pounding his fists on the steering wheel. Carter gets out and opens the hood. He has no idea what's wrong but believes it must be something major. Carter texts Amy, "Jeep dead, 35 miles from Cardialine." Amy replies back, "We'll send Jimmy. Find a room." ETA approximately 6 hours. Carter hoofs it into town and walks into a small diner. He will get something to eat, relieve his bladder, and get a room at the only motel in town. Carter is unaware how lucky he is. If not for the breakdown, the Hydra would have confronted him in as little as 5 hours. Chapter 7, Horizons Alert. Sunday morning, NSA headquarters. NSA gets wind of the DOJ involvement from an internal mole. The EMP threat now escalates to Horizons Alert, Level 2. The Hydra is unsure how far the USB leak has spread. They now scramble to contain the situation. Sloan in a panic orders embedded moles at NSA and the DOJ to contain a possible wider leak. Find the leak and plug it. Back in central Idaho, Cell Team 1, the Cardialine safe house was once again checked, last night. They found it still vacant. The team remains static, in situ, waiting on orders. Meanwhile in Plummer, Jimmy arrived late last night at 10 p.m. He stayed the night with Carter. They had the Jeep towed to the local garage at 8:30 this morning. By 9:30 a.m., the bad news. The Jeep isn't going anywhere soon. Carter can't wait. Jimmy offers to take him to the safe house, a 45-minute commute from Plummer. Down in Boise, Sloan orders Cell Team 2, storm Amy's residence, restrain and interrogate her. She's the DOJ link, find out how much the DOJ knows and who else has eyes on Killswitch. Orders are she is still to be kept alive for now. They search the place and find FedEx receipts and a burner phone. What's Daniels got? Who else has seen Killswitch? Finding Amy's burner phone is a pivotal moment. Armed with her text history with Carter, they now know Carter is stranded in Plummer. Help was dispatched and probably with him now. Rather than go to Carter, the decision is made to let Carter come to them. They send Carter a text and direct him to proceed to the Cardialine safe house. They contact Cell Team 1 with instructions to return to the safe house, break in, and wait for Carter. Carter will head right into their ambush. Carter nears Cardialine. Carter has been heading toward the safe house. They are 15 minutes away when Carter blurts out, "No, something's not right." Amy knows we were heading to the safe house, so why the text? They must have gotten Amy, "Take me to the airport. I have enough cash for an economy ticket to DC. The safest place I could be right now is the DOJ building." Jimmy replies with concern, "But you'll have to show your ID, they can track you." Carter's eyes light up, "I've got a plan. They won't be looking for me for at least 3 hours. Hopefully I will be in the air by then." Carter texts Amy's phone, "Jeep will be fixed in 3 hours, then heading to safe house." Jimmy hops on the I-90 West heading toward the Spokane International Airport, 30 minutes away. Cell Team 2 relays the message from Carter back to Team 1, telling them Carter should be there in 3 hours. Meanwhile, Carter and Jimmy arrive at the airport. Jimmy pulls up to the curb at the terminal letting Carter out, then goes to find a parking spot. Carter scours airline ticket counters searching for a quick open seat to DC, finally finding one that leaves in 2 hours. That's cutting it really close, he thinks to himself. Jimmy catches up to Carter as he is walking away from the ticket counter. "I got a flight, leaves in 2 hours, Carter tells him. Jimmy asks, "Do you want me to stay and keep watch until your departure?" Carter answers, "No, no point putting yourself at risk. Once I get through TSA, there really isn't any way I could avoid them. I'll phone Daniels while I wait for my flight, have him request DHS to order a Secret Service detail to meet me, and escort me back to the DOJ." 3.5 hours later, Carter still hasn't shown at the safe house. A man is sent down to Plummer. He finds the Jeep at the garage and questions the mechanic. The mechanic has ordered parts and they won't arrive for 2 more days. Carter has skipped out. He reports back to the team, "Check the airport." They discover a short while later that Carter bought a ticket to DC. His flight left 30 minutes ago. They let him slip away. Sloan is not going to be happy. DOJ building DC, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. AG Daniels orders the FBI to seize NSA servers at Fort Meade, 30 miles away. Choppers lift off 11:45 a.m. Noon. A DOJ mole, Agent Anderson, radios Sloan and confirms Daniels has Killswitch. FBI is moving on NSA servers. Sloan pushes moles at NSA to scrub Fort Meade servers. He orders Agent Anderson to jam FBI SAT links to slow down comms. 12:15 p.m., DOJ agents storm the NSA data centers and snag drives, but some are wiped. They find server glitches and 20% data loss. Daniels, "We've got inside traitors, find them." The looming threat, Hydra has access to classified tech and rogue assets. Warheads smuggled from DOE stockpiles, Hydra-controlled silos in Montana, and stolen foreign HMBs. The elevated status change to Horizons Alert triggers hypersonic ballistic missiles, HBMs, with 1 megaton warheads to high alert. They are fueled and readied. Crews lock targets with altimeter-controlled detonators synced for simultaneous bursts 200 miles above Kansas and Nevada. This will cripple the majority of the country from the electromagnetic pulses. The clock is now ticking. Back in D.C., Daniels briefs the FBI director, "Ready bunker locations for contingency of government, COG, ahead of EMP bursts." The White House and Congress get hushed alerts. U.S. government now prepares to implement COG plans at a moment's notice. Chapter 8, Plot Exposed. Monday morning, Carter arrived at Ronald Reagan National Airport at 7:15 a.m. Eastern. He was met by a Secret Service detail and taken to the DOJ building to brief Daniels. Mass media chaos. By midday, a frenzy ensues as Killswitch protocol leaks and goes live. Web dumps are flooding the internet and social media is exploding. The Boise Weekly article is picked up by major news networks and mass media worldwide. Breaking news alerts fill the airwaves with headlines like EMP plot leaked. Public outcry and panic sets off riots and looting. The masses are hoarding food, water, and supplies, emptying store shelves everywhere. Protests clog D.C. Retreat. Sloan alerts all cell teams to abandon current assignments, ending the pursuit of Carter and restraint of Amy. All teams have been ordered to head for the Rock. The Raven Rock Mountain Complex, which is carved into Raven Rock Mountain, is known as Site R. Raven Rock is a hardened bunker situated in Pennsylvania near the Maryland border, approximately 10 miles north of Camp David. The cabal is running scared, moving all assets to Raven Rock. NSA radio chatter is intercepted by FBI and NSB, with references to Site R and the Rock. Daniels sends probes and drones to verify activity at the bunker. Intel confirms unusually high activity at Raven Rock. The National Guard is put on standby, high alert. The roundup. Intel agencies begin to piece together the puzzle from intercepted comms, seized data, voiceprint hits, server logs, half-scrubbed drives and insider leaks. Hydra personnel and internal moles are beginning to be identified. Digital forensics reveal Anderson, DOJ mole, Sloan, and Andrews, NSA. The list begins to populate with dozens of names spanning multiple agencies. The bigger picture begins to come into focus. Daniels orders the FBI to lock down Raven Rock while the National Guard and military deploy to raid the bunker and round up the Hydra. Attention shifts to possible locations for Hydra missiles. Space Force scrambles using satellite infrared, IR, thermal, and high-resolution optical sensors. Space-based infrared systems, SPIRS, look for telltale signs of live silos. Thermal signatures would bloom during fueling activity, and warhead arming would emit faint but detectable signs. NORAD is notified of potential launches intended for high-altitude EMP bursts. NORAD is based at Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado Springs, Cheyenne Mountain. NORAD's primary function is to track all airborne threats to North America. Any launches would be detected by ballistic missile early warning systems and space-based infrared. Things are escalating fast. The nation is on the brink of returning to the Stone Age. Estimates show that an EMP nationwide takedown of the grid would result in a 90% culling of the population after 12 months, from starvation, disease, and violence, as people fight to survive. Chapter 9, Horizon Strike, Black Tuesday. After the calamity of Monday's massive media mishap, Hydra's hand has been exposed, leaving only one card left to play, one of last resort, one that will roll the dice on the future of the country. Choose your evil. An EMP and a nuclear ground blast are both devastating. Both kill, but that's where the similarities end. A nuclear ground blast kills in a radius proportionate to proximity. If you're on the X, it's instantaneous and all infrastructure is destroyed. Further out, a slower death by radiation sickness. An EMP on the other hand destroys nothing but electronics. Those without the skills and resources to live without modern conveniences will perish a drawn-out, undignified death by starvation, disease, or exposure. Tensions rise. 11 a.m. Eastern, the National Guard storms Raven Rock, zip-tying Hydra's top brass in the bunker. One by one they will be processed, then interrogated. They need intel to find the location of the launch site. The FBI are maintaining a database of those that have been apprehended. Carter is in Daniels' office at the DOJ reviewing the custody list. Carter notices a missing name. Where's Andrews? Andrews is missing, find him. Meanwhile, the man of the hour is hiding off-grid and has ordered Horizon Strike, Level 3, prompting HBM warheads to be queued for arming. Once silos are hot, missiles will stand ready, waiting on launch orders. If and when a launch is ordered, the missiles will climb at Mach 10, reaching an altitude of 200 miles in 3 to 5 minutes. Interception is a long shot. Missile defense system intercepts are designed for slower ICBMs, not hypersonic ballistic missiles. Defenses at Fort Greely in Alaska and Vandenberg AFB in California could jointly launch up to 40-plus missiles. However, a hit is highly unlikely, with 50% odds at best. Warheads hot. 10 p.m. Eastern, Space Force satellites have picked up faint RF radio frequencies spikes signaling warhead arming. The locations are identified as coming from near Malmstrom AFB in Montana. Malmstrom AFB oversees over 150 Minuteman III silos, scattered over 13,800 square miles. 10:20 p.m. Eastern, DNI to Daniels, Sat see it. Montana. 2 HBMs. Spurs detect silos K-12 and L-8 are hot, live warheads. The two silos are 20 miles apart. NORAD is alerted of imminent launch. Daniels requests deployment of the National Guard through POTUS. Guard now Mr. President, EMPs live. Recommend COG immediately. The President deploys the 163rd Infantry from Great Falls to Malmstrom AFB. Alerts flash on essential government personnel phones and computers, execute COG procedures. 9:45 p.m. Mountain, Guard arrives to secure and rope off silos K-12 and L-8. They secure the scene. Joint DoD-DOE teams are en route to prevent launch capabilities. They arrive 11:45 p.m. The teams sweep the silos and assess the situation. 12:15 a.m. The teams report back details, supplemental summary, manual controls locked out. Countdown frozen. HBMs modified, rigged with Deadman switch, arm on tamper, trigger immediate launch. DoD safeguards bypassed, remote overrides. Global remote launch enabled. Method of trigger, SAT-link. NORAD intercept is now the only option. Andrews holds the trigger, he is the kill switch. He solely has the power to launch or abort, and he can do it from anywhere in the world by satellite link. A massive manhunt ensues, time is short. The nation's fate is hanging in the balance. Will Wednesday be like any other, or will we be thrust technologically back in time? There will be no obvious signs as the morning sun rises. No loud explosions, no bright flashes in the sky, only an eerie silence. Chapter 10, Schrodinger's Cat. In quantum mechanics, Schrödinger's cat is a thought experiment concerning quantum superposition. In the thought experiment, a hypothetical cat may be considered simultaneously both alive and dead, until it is visually observed. Likewise, the same is true in our story. If the HBMs are stopped, life goes on as usual. If not, well, let's just say, you don't want to find out. It is only after you turn the page that you can see what is printed on it. Warning: turn the page if you must. Mankind should ponder such things, if we are to avoid careless fate. Remember, it doesn't have to be this way. This page intentionally left blank.